Ladies and gentlemen, today we step into a delicate but necessary conversation, a conversation about discernment. The world is full of people who carry both light and darkness, and it is up to us to recognize what leads us toward growth and what seeks to destroy our purpose. An evil woman is not evil because of her gender. She is evil because of her choices, her intentions, and the fruit of her actions. Understanding the signs is not about judgment, but about safeguarding your purpose, your heart, and your destiny. The first sign is the spirit of manipulation. An evil woman uses charm, guilt, or deception to twist others to her will. She does not operate in partnership but seeks control. She desires power, not fear. Beware of someone who constantly redefines the truth to suit her narrative or uses emotional bait to steer your decisions. A woman aligned with darkness sows seeds of destruction. She will tear down your confidence, belittle your dreams, and instill doubt in your abilities. As her words are not a shield of support, but arrows of criticism. Instead of building a house of trust, she sets fires to everything that gives life and purpose. And manipulation as a tool of control is one of the most destructive behaviors one can encounter in any relationship, be it personal, professional, or social. It operates subtly, often cloaked in charm, flattery, or even concern, making it difficult to recognize at first glance. The manipulative person doesn't approach with aggression or open hostility, but with calculated moves designed to shape the decisions, emotions, and behaviors of others for their benefit. That pilot might seem harmless at first. Manipulation is rooted in selfishness and an insatiable need for control. It is not a behavior that promotes mutual respect or understanding, but one that seeks to dominate, subjugate, and exploit. As a manipulative person knows how to play on their own emotions. They understand human vulnerabilities and weaknesses and use them as tools to get what they want. If they detect insecurity, they exploit it by offering validation only to withdraw it as leverage later. If they sense guilt, they magnify it, creating scenarios where the manipulated individual feels compelled to comply out of a sense of obligation. This emotional tug of war leaves the victim in a perpetual state of confusion, constantly questioning their own actions and worth. Manipulators thrive on this imbalance for it cements their power over the other person. That's one of the most insidious aspects of manipulation, is its ability to make the victim believe they are the problem. The manipulator deflects accountability, turning every situation into an opportunity to shift blame. If confronted, they masterfully redirect the conversation, highlighting the victim's perceived flaws or mistakes. This tactic, often referred to as gaslighting, erodes the victim's sense of reality and confidence, leaving them dependent on the manipulator for validation and direction. The more uncertain and self-doubting the victim becomes, the easier it is for the manipulator to maintain control. Manipulation also operates through the strategic use of kindness and reward. A manipulative person will shower their target with praise, affection, or generosity when it serves their purpose. That these moments of apparent good will create a false sense of security, making the victim believe the relationship is genuine and balanced. However, these rewards are conditional and often come with unspoken expectations. The victim learns to associate compliance with positive reinforcement, gradually losing their autonomy in an effort to maintain the manipulator's approval. This cycle of reward and punishment keeps the victim trapped, constantly striving to meet the manipulator's shifting demands. Another hallmark of manipulation is the use of fear and intimidation. While this may not always manifest as overt threats, it often takes the form of implied consequences. The manipulative person may hint at withdrawing support, affection, or opportunities if their demands are not met. They might create a sense of urgency or exaggerate potential risk to pressure their target into compliance. By instilling fear that their target feels too insecure or apprehensive to challenge their authority. This psychological pressure can be so overwhelming that the victim begins to prioritize the manipulator's desires over their own well-being. The manipulators are also adept at creating dependency. They position themselves as indispensable, convincing their target that they are the only one who can provide the solution, support, or guidance needed. This dependency is cultivated over time as the manipulator undermines the victim's confidence in their own abilities or isolates them from other sources of support. By monopolizing the victim's time, attention, and resources, the manipulator ensures that their influence remains unchallenged. This dependency is not born out of genuine care or partnership, but as a means to tighten their grip on the victim's life. In relationships, manipulators often use love or friendship as a weapon. They exploit the deep emotional bonds they have cultivated, twisting them to serve their own agenda. They may claim that their actions are motivated by care or concern, masking their true intentions. By invoking the emotional connection, they make it difficult for the victim to question their behavior or motives. The manipulator frames their control as an act of love, making the victim feel guilty for resisting or challenging them. This emotional manipulation blurs the lines between affection and control, leaving the victim entangled in a web of confusion and obligation. Manipulation also thrives in ambiguity. The manipulator rarely communicates their intentions or desires, clearly relying instead on hints, insinuations, and mixed messages. This ambiguity keeps the victim off balance, constantly trying to decipher the manipulator's true feelings or expectations. The lack of clarity creates an environment of uncertainty where the victim feels compelled to second-guess their actions and decisions. This mental and emotional labor further entrenches the manipulator's control as the victim becomes consumed with meeting their unspoken demands. A manipulative person often uses division as a tactic to maintain control. They may pit individuals against each other, spreading misinformation or creating conflict to isolate their target. By creating rifts in the victim support network, they ensure that the victim has no one else to turn to for perspective or assistance. This isolation strengthens the manipulator's influence as the victim becomes increasingly reliant on them for validation and guidance. That the manipulator may also use triangulation involving a third party to create jealousy, competition, or insecurity, further destabilizing the victim's sense of security and self-worth. Financial manipulation is another common tool. A manipulative person may choose money as a means of control, either by withholding it, creating dependency, or using it to exert influence over their target's choices. They may offer financial support with strings attached or use debt as leverage to coerce compliance. This form of manipulation is particularly damaging as it impacts the victim's ability to exercise independence and make decisions aligned with their values and priorities. The manipulation as a tool of control is deeply destructive because it erodes trust, autonomy, and self-worth. It thrives on the vulnerabilities of others, exploiting their emotions and insecurities and relationships for personal gain. Recognizing manipulation requires vigilance and self-awareness as it often operates in subtle and deceptive ways. By understanding the tactics and patterns of manipulation, individuals can begin to protect themselves, set boundaries, and reclaim their agency. Destruction instead of encouragement is one of the clearest indicators of an individual operating with malicious intent. This behavior is not accidental or situational. It is a pattern that emerges consistently over time, revealing a deeper inclination to harm rather than to build. At its core, this trait stems from envy, insecurity, or a deep-seated desire to dominate and control. People who exhibit such behavior are not interested in your growth, success, or happiness. Instead, their words and actions are calculated to tear you down, strip away your confidence, and leave you questioning your worth. As a person who operates with a destructive spirit often disguises their intentions behind subtle critique or backhanded compliments. They rarely launch overt attacks because that would expose their motives too clearly. Instead, they chip away at your self-esteem in small, insidious ways. They might dismiss your achievements as luck, trivialize your hard work, or compare you unfavorably to others. Over time, these seemingly minor comments accumulate, creating a narrative that undermines your confidence and distorts your perception of yourself. This tactic is particularly dangerous because it often leaves the victim wondering if they are overreacting or imagining the negativity, further entrenching the destructive individual's influence. That such individuals have a tendency to amplify your mistakes and minimize your successes. When you stumble, they seize the opportunity to magnify your errors, using them as evidence of your inadequacy. They are quick to remind you of your failures, often bringing up past missteps long after they should have been forgotten. By keeping your focus on what went wrong, they prevent you from celebrating your victories or learning from your experiences in a healthy and constructive way. Their aim is not to help you grow, but to keep you in a perpetual state of self-doubt and dependence on their approval. As in relationships, the destructive person often creates an environment of constant criticism. They nitpick at every aspect of your life, your appearance, your choices, your personality, leaving no area untouched. Thus, this criticism is not offered as constructive feedback or out of genuine concern, but as a means to erode your sense of self. They may couch their negativity in the guise of honesty or claim they are simply telling it like it is, but their words are not designed to help you improve. Instead, they are intended to wound, to make you feel smaller, less capable, and less deserving of happiness. That destructive behavior is not limited to words. It often extends to actions that sabotage your efforts and undermine your progress. This can take many forms, from withholding support at critical moments to actively interfering with your plans. As for example, a destructive person might discourage you from pursuing a new opportunity, citing reasons that appear logical but are ultimately rooted in their desire to see you fail. They may subtly undermine your efforts by creating obstacles, spreading doubt, or failing to provide the assistance they promise. These actions are designed to keep you from advancing, ensuring that you remain within the bounds of their control. And one of the most devastating aspects of dealing with someone who operates with destruction instead of encouragement is the impact it has on your mental and emotional well-being. Over time, the constant negativity and criticism take a toll, leaving you feeling drained, defeated, and unworthy. That you begin to internalize their destructive messages, believing that you are not good enough or that your dreams are out of reach. This emotional erosion can lead to a loss of motivation, creativity, and confidence, making it even harder to break free from their influence. The destructive person thrives on this dynamic because it reinforces their power while diminishing yours. A destructive individual often has a knack for identifying your deepest fears and insecurities, which they exploit to their advantage. If you struggle with self-doubt, they will amplify it by questioning your decisions and pointing out your perceived shortcomings. If you fear failure, they will remind you of the risks and potential pitfalls, making you hesitant to take the necessary steps towards your goals. By preying on these vulnerabilities, they ensure that you remain paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, unable to move forward or challenge their narrative. Another hallmark of destructive behavior is the tendency to isolate you from sources of encouragement and support. The destructive person recognizes that positive influences in your life, whether they come from friends, family, or mentors, pose a threat to their control. As a result, they may attempt to alienate you from these individuals, either by sowing seeds of doubt about their intentions or by creating conflicts that drive you apart. This isolation makes it easier for them to dominate your thoughts and decisions, as you no longer have access to alternative perspectives or the encouragement of those who genuinely care for your well-being. In professional settings, the destructive individual may employ tactics such as withholding information, taking credit for your work, or spreading rumors to damage your reputation. They are not content to see you succeed because your achievements threaten their sense of superiority. And instead of collaborating or celebrating your contributions, they view your success as a personal affront and work to undermine it at every turn. This behavior not only hinders your progress, but also creates a toxic environment that stifles innovation and growth for everyone involved. The destructive person often disguises their intentions with a veneer of concern or helpfulness, making their actions harder to recognize. They may position themselves as a mentor, advisor, or confidant, offering guidance that seems well-meaning on the surface, but ultimately serves to keep you in a place of dependency and doubt. For example, they might discourage you from taking a bold step by presenting it as risky or unwise, framing their advice as protective rather than limiting. This subtle manipulation makes it difficult to discern their true motives, leaving you vulnerable to their influence. Despite their outward appearance of confidence or authority, destructive individuals are often deeply insecure. Their behavior is a reflection of their own fears and inadequacies, which they project onto others. By tearing you down, they attempt to elevate themselves, using your struggles as a way to validate their own sense of worth. Understanding this dynamic does not excuse their actions, but it does provide insight into the motivations behind their destructive behavior. They are not acting from a place of strength, but from a deep-seated need to assert control in a world they perceive as threatening or unstable. The ripple effects of dealing with someone who operates with destruction instead of encouragement can be profound and far-reaching. Their behavior not only impacts your sense of self, but also affects your relationships, your career, and your ability to pursue your dreams. The negativity they saw can spread to other areas of your life, creating a cycle of doubt and hesitation that is difficult to break. Recognizing these patterns and understanding their impact is the first step toward reclaiming your power and creating an environment that fosters growth, positivity, and encouragement. A spirit of division is one of the most destructive forces in human interaction, subtly weaving its way into relationships, families, communities, and even workplaces. The division is not always loud or dramatic. Often it operates quietly, planting seeds of mistrust, jealousy, and animosity until the bonds that once held people together are completely severed. At its core, division seeks to isolate, destabilize, and weaken, leaving individuals vulnerable and unable to unite in strength and purpose. Those who thrive on division understand the power of unity and intentionally work to dismantle it for their own gain. Like someone who carries a spirit of division knows how to exploit differences, whether in opinion, personality, or perspective, and turn them into sources of conflict. And instead of celebrating diversity as a strength, they magnify disagreements and amplify tensions, creating an environment where collaboration becomes impossible. This is often done subtly through small comments, insinuations, or the selective sharing of information designed to create misunderstandings and mistrust. Over time, these minor disruptions accumulate, leading to significant fractures in relationships and group dynamics. The person who thrives on division often positions themselves as an ally or confidant, using this guise to gain trust and influence. Thus, once inside a circle of trust, they begin to sow discord, often by speaking negatively about others behind their backs or misrepresenting conversations to create conflict. They might exaggerate someone's flaws, question their motives, or highlight past mistakes in a way that casts doubt on their character. By doing so, they create an atmosphere of suspicion and resentment, making it difficult for people to work together or maintain genuine connections. Division is further fueled by the manipulative use of comparison. A divisive individual will often pit people against one another by comparing their abilities, achievements, or circumstances. This fosters a sense of competition and jealousy, eroding the unity and mutual respect that are essential for healthy relationships. By focusing on what separates rather than what unites, they create an environment where individuals feel isolated and undervalued. This comparison doesn't just damage relationships, it also undermines self-esteem and confidence as people begin to doubt their worth or feel inadequate in the face of constant scrutiny. A divisive person often uses misinformation or selective truth, telling as a powerful tool to further their agenda. They might share only part of a story, leaving out crucial details that will provide clarity or resolution. Alternatively, they might distort facts entirely, presenting a version of events that cast someone else in a negative light. This manipulation of truth is particularly damaging because it erodes trust not only in the person being maligned, but also in the broader group. When people cannot rely on accurate information, they become more susceptible to fear, doubt, and conflict, all of which serve the divisive individual's purpose. Another hallmark of a spirit of division is the deliberate creation of factions or cliques. A divisive person will often align themselves with certain individuals or groups, fostering a sense of exclusivity that alienates others. They may create an us versus them mentality, encouraging loyalty to the inner circle while casting outsiders as enemies or threats. This polarization makes it difficult for people to bridge, devise, or work collaboratively as the focus shifts from shared goals to defending one's position within the group. Over time, this fragmentation weakens the collective, leaving it vulnerable to further manipulation and exploitation. The division also thrives on the exploitation of vulnerabilities and insecurities. A divisive person is highly tuned to the fears, doubts, and weaknesses of those around them, using this knowledge to manipulate and control. For example, they might play on someone's fear of rejection by implying that others are speaking negatively about them or questioning their loyalty. Alternatively, they might exploit someone's desire for approval by creating situations where they feel compelled to choose sides. Now, this manipulation not only deepens divisions, but also leaves individuals feeling isolated and powerless, further entrenching the divisive person's influence. The spirit of division is particularly insidious because it often disguises itself as concern, loyalty, or even leadership. A divisive individual may present themselves as someone who is simply trying to help, offering advice or support that appears well-meaning on the surface, but ultimately serves to drive a wedge between people. They may claim to be advocating for fairness or justice, using these noble ideals as a cover for their true intentions. This facade makes it difficult to recognize their behavior for what it is, allowing the division to take root and grow unchecked. In families, division can manifest in subtle but devastating ways, such as favoritism, secret keeping, or the constant comparison of one member to another. A divisive family member might create tension between siblings, undermine parental authority, or manipulate situations to cast themselves as the victim or hero. This behavior erodes the trust and mutual support that are essential for a strong family unit, leaving members disconnected and resentful. The impact of such division can last for years, affecting not only the immediate family, but also future generations. In workplaces, a spread of division can be equally damaging, creating a toxic environment where collaboration and productivity suffer. A divisive colleague or leader might spread rumors, play favorites, or undermine others to advance their own agenda. They may thrive on office politics, using manipulation and deceit to gain power or influence. This behavior not only damages relationships, but also stifles creativity and innovation as employees become more focused on navigating conflict and achieving shared goals. The long-term impact of such division can be catastrophic, leading to high turnover, low morale, and a loss of organizational effectiveness. The effects of division are not limited to individual relationships or specific settings. They ripple outward, affecting entire communities and societies. A spirit of division can exploit societal differences such as race, religion, or political ideology, turning these into sources of conflict and strife. By emphasizing what separates us rather than what unites us, division undermines the fabric of community, making it harder for people to work together for the common good. The result is a fractured society where mistrust and hostility prevail, leaving everyone weaker and more vulnerable. Recognizing and addressing a spirit of division is essential for preserving unity, trust, and mutual respect in any context. It requires vigilance, self-awareness, and a commitment to fostering understanding and collaboration. By identifying the tactics and behaviors associated with division, individuals can take steps to protect themselves and their relationships from its corrosive effects. So whether in families, workplaces, or communities, a fight against division begins with a commitment to truth, transparency, and the recognition of our shared humanity. That a tendency toward destruction and division often leads naturally to a willingness to create chaos. As those who thrive on instability understand that confusion is one of the most effective tools for maintaining control, chaos serves as both a distraction and a smokescreen, preventing others from identifying the root cause of conflict or recognizing the manipulative behavior at play. Those who perpetuate chaos excel in creating situations where people feel disoriented, overwhelmed, and uncertain, making it difficult to establish order, trust, or progress. Chaos is their playground, a stage where they can exert influence while others struggle to make sense of the disorder. That's one of the primary ways chaos is introduced is through inconsistency. Those who create chaos often shift their attitudes, actions, or narratives without warning, leaving others unsure of what to expect. This unpredictability keeps people on edge, unable to form clear expectations or responses. For example, someone might alternate between kindness and hostility, creating a confusing emotional roller coaster that destabilizes relationships. This inconsistency is not accidental, it is deliberate, designed to keep others guessing and unable to predict or challenge their behavior. Chaos is further exacerbated by the deliberate distortion of facts and information. Those who create it often spread misinformation, rumors, or half-truths to sow confusion and mistrust. By manipulating what others know or believe, they can pit people against each other, create unnecessary disputes, and derail productive conversations. This tactic is especially effective in group settings where conflicting narratives can lead to disagreements, misunderstandings, and a breakdown of communication. The more time people spend trying to untangle the web of lies and distortions, the less energy they have to focus on constructive actions or solutions. Another hallmark of chaos is the introduction of unnecessary complexity into situations. Those who thrive on it often take simple matters and complicate them, making it difficult for others to find clarity or resolution. They may ask leading questions, introduce irrelevant issues, or shift the focus of a discussion to avoid accountability or derail progress. This deliberate complication ensures that no one else can gain a clear understanding of the situation, allowing a person who created the chaos to maintain the upper hand. It also fosters frustration and fatigue, further undermining the ability of others to challenge or address the underlying problems. In relationships, chaos often takes the form of emotional manipulation and volatility. Someone who creates chaos might instigate arguments over trivial matters, exaggerate conflicts, or provoke reactions to draw attention away from their own behavior. They might shift blame, deny their actions, or gaslight others into doubting their own perceptions. This emotional turbulence serves to destabilize the relationship, leaving the other person feeling confused, insecure, and unable to trust their own judgment. Over time, the constant turmoil erodes emotional well-being, making it increasingly difficult for the victim to establish boundaries or seek resolution. A chaotic individual often thrives on creating crises, whether real or imagined, to divert attention and maintain control. They may manufacture emergencies, escalate minor issues, or fabricate problems to keep others preoccupied and reactive. By forcing others into a constant state of urgency or alarm, they prevent them from thinking clearly or addressing underlying issues. This cycle of crisis keeps everyone around them in a state of heightened tension, making it easier for the chaotic individual to manipulate situations to their advantage. In professional settings, chaos can manifest through mismanagement, lack of communication, or the deliberate fostering of competition and conflict. A chaotic leader or colleague might withhold critical information, change plans without notice, or pit team members against each other to create a turbulent work environment. This chaos serves to keep others distracted and divided, preventing them from questioning decisions or addressing systemic issues. The result is often a toxic workplace where productivity and morale suffer as employees expend their energy navigating conflict rather than achieving shared goals. Thus, the spirit of chaos also preys on emotions, particularly fear and uncertainty. Those who create chaos are adept at identifying and exploiting the fears of others, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or loss. By amplifying these fears, they create an environment of anxiety and doubt, making it difficult for others to feel secure or confident. This emotional manipulation serves to maintain control, as people who are consumed by fear are less likely to take risks, challenge authority, or seek change. Over time, this fear-based chaos can erode trust, collaboration, and resilience, leaving individuals and groups fragmented and vulnerable. Chaos is particularly effective when paired with charm or charisma, as those who create it often use their personality to mask their intentions. They may present themselves as spontaneous, passionate, or free-spirited, framing their chaotic behavior as a natural part of their character. This makes it harder for others to recognize the deliberate nature of their actions, allowing the chaos to persist unchecked. By leveraging their charm, they can manipulate others into tolerating or even excusing their behavior, further entrenching their influence. The impact of chaos is not limited to the immediate situation. It has long-term consequences that can be deeply damaging. Relationships affected by chaos often become strained or irreparable, as trust and stability are eroded over time. And in families, chaos can disrupt the emotional and psychological well-being of all members, creating patterns of dysfunction that may persist for generations. In organizations, chaos undermines efficiency, innovation, and morale, leading to decreased performance and increased turnover. On a broader scale, chaos can destabilize communities and societies, fostering division, mistrust, and conflict that hinder progress and unity. Recognizing the patterns of chaos and understanding its effects are essential for mitigating its impact. It requires awareness, discernment, and a commitment to fostering clarity, stability, and order. By identifying the tactics used to create chaos, individuals can take steps to protect themselves and their environments from its destabilizing effects. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or larger communities, addressing the root causes of chaos is essential for building trust, resilience, and lasting harmony. A desire for power and control often serves as the underlying motivation for many manipulative and destructive behaviors. This desire is not inherently negative. Power, when used responsibly, can lead to positive change, stability, and growth. However, when power is pursued selfishly or without regard for the well-being of others, it becomes a force that undermines relationships, organizations, and communities. That the relentless pursuit of control transforms interactions into power struggles, where the primary goal is domination, rather collaboration, or mutual benefit. This mindset warps priorities, making every situation a potential battlefield for gaining the upper hand. At the heart of a desire for control lies an insatiable need to dictate the actions, thoughts, and emotions of others. Those driven by this desire are often unwilling to accept any scenario where they are not in charge. This need manifests in subtle and overt ways, from micromanaging decisions to enforcing rigid expectations. Such individuals often struggle with the idea of shared power, viewing it as a threat to their dominance. In their quest for control, they may disregard boundaries, manipulate circumstances, or exploit vulnerabilities to ensure that their influence remains unchallenged. That's one common tactic employed by those seeking control is the manipulation of emotions. By provoking fear, guilt, or insecurity, they create an environment where others feel compelled to comply with their demands. Fear is especially powerful in this dynamic as it clouds judgment and limits the ability to resist or question authority. A controlling individual might exaggerate potential risks, create imaginary threats, or present themselves as the sole source of safety and stability. This fosters dependence, making it difficult for others to break free from the influence or assert their own autonomy. Control also thrives on the suppression of individuality and free will. Those who desire power often seek to diminish the confidence and independence of others, as this makes them easier to manage. They may undermine someone's self-esteem, question their decisions, or belittle their achievements, creating a dynamic where the person feels incapable of functioning without guidance. Over time, this erosion of self-worth leads to a cycle of dependence where individuals lose sight of their own strength and potential, further consolidating the controller's power. Another key element of the desire for control is the manipulation of information. Knowledge is power, and those who seek control understand the importance of controlling the flow of information. They may withhold critical details, distort facts, or selectively share knowledge to shape perceptions and outcomes. By controlling what others know, they maintain an advantage, ensuring that decisions and actions align with their agenda. This manipulation creates an environment of uncertainty and confusion where people are forced to rely on the controller for guidance and direction. The pursuit of control often leads to the creation of rigid structures and rules that serve to limit freedom and enforce conformity. While structure and rules can provide stability when imposed excessively or unjustly, they become tools of oppression. Those who crave control might use rules to micromanage behavior, stifle creativity, or suppress dissent. They may frame their actions as necessary for the greater good, masking their true intentions behind a facade of order and discipline. This approach not only restricts individual expression, but also fosters an atmosphere of fear and compliance where questioning of authority becomes almost impossible. In relationships, the desire for control manifests in ways that are particularly damaging as it undermines the trust, respect, and equality that form the foundation of healthy connections. A controlling partner may seek to dictate every aspect of the relationship, from decisions about finances and social interactions to the smallest daily choices. They might isolate their partner from friends and family, monitor their activities, or use guilt and blame to enforce compliance. This behavior erodes the sense of partnership and mutual respect, replacing it with a dynamic of dominance and submission. In professional settings, the desire for control can create toxic environments where collaboration and innovation are stifled. A controlling leader might micromanage every aspect of their team's work, leaving little room for creativity or autonomy. They may resist delegation, viewing it as a threat to their authority, and punish those who challenge their decisions. This not only limits the potential of the team, but also fosters resentment and disengagement among employees. Over time, the organization suffers as the focus shifts from achieving shared goals to navigating the power dynamics created by the controlling individual. That the effects of control extend beyond immediate relationship interactions, influencing larger systems and structures. In communities and societies, the desire for control can lead to the concentration of power in the hands of a few, often at the expense of the many. This dynamic creates imbalances that perpetuate inequality, injustice, and oppression. Those in power may use fear, misinformation, and coercion to maintain their position, suppressing dissent and limiting opportunities for others to participate in decision-making. The result is a fractured society where trust, collaboration, and progress are continually undermined. Recognizing the signs of a controlling individual is essential for protecting oneself and others from their influence. These signs often include an unwillingness to compromise, a need to dominate conversations, and a tendency to dismiss or belittle opposing viewpoints. Controlling individuals may also exhibit behaviors such as constant monitoring, excessive criticism, and an inability to accept responsibility for their actions. By identifying these patterns, it becomes possible to set boundaries, assert independence, and resist attempts to manipulate or dominate. Breaking free from the grip of control requires courage, self-awareness, and a commitment to reclaiming autonomy. This process often involves challenging the narratives and tactics used by the controlling individual, such as questioning misinformation, resisting emotional manipulation, and seeking support from trusted allies. It also requires a willingness to confront the fear and self-doubt that control fosters, rediscovering the strength and resilience needed to assert one's own identity and choices. Through these efforts, it becomes possible to disrupt the cycle of control and create a more balanced and equitable dynamic. The destructive nature of the desire for control lies in its ability to erode trust, stifle growth, and diminish the potential of individuals and groups. It prioritizes dominance over collaboration, fear over understanding, and compliance over freedom. Left unchecked, it creates environments where creativity, innovation, and mutual respect are sacrificed in the pursuit of power. Addressing this dynamic requires not only recognizing the behaviors and tactics associated with control, but also fostering a culture of empowerment, equality, and shared responsibility. Only by doing so can we move beyond the limitations of control and embrace the possibilities of genuine connection and collaboration.